Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to episode number 187 of Speaking from the Heart. I've been doing this now for almost 2 years, and it's a habit that has finally set in. I know that I have to write up ideas, I have to book guests in some cases, I have to spend some time writing what I want to actually say, record it, make sure I message it properly, whether that is actually editing it, trying to condense it for time or quality, getting it up and running then on my website, and also making sure that for my guests, I give them everything that they need in order to publicize it, especially when it comes to my social media presence. Sometimes I fall off the bandwagon because of all the other things that I have going on, and then I have to reestablish myself to try to get this back on track because I know that I'm counting on myself and only myself to get these awesome ideas, this awesome content out there so that you're able to listen to it 2 times a week. That means that I have to figure out what it means on my schedule to make sure that this all comes together while at the same time holding on for dear life, making sure that this growth that I want to have, especially on this podcast, continues to occur. Man, that is such a tall order. And I can only imagine, especially as you've gotten halfway through the first month of this year, how it might be to really keep on pressing forward, what it means to do something differently. So today, this episode is all about how we can have better habits, how we were able to experiment with those new habits that aren't normally used to, and trying to now get back on track. Now, my example might be something I've been doing now for quite a while, but it did start out as a new habit. When I started this podcast, Speaking from the Heart, I had to get myself organized. I needed to figure out a better way in which I was able to accomplish all these goals that I had in the short term, which at that time was for the next 90 days, and then looking at it from a longer term once I realized that I wanted to do this. What are my goals so that I am able to achieve what I ultimately want to set out to do with this? Now, one of the things that I learned when I was getting my autism diagnosis almost 2 years ago now was being recommended the book Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits is a book written by James Clear, and it's talking about how you form good habits and also breaking those bad ones that might be holding you back from creating some bigger context. While at the same time, those little small things that you do that once you build momentum, it will help you with establishing good patterns. It will help you with achieving what you set out to do. So a lot of the techniques that I talk about today, I got to give credit to my good friend, Mr. James Clear. Although, I have to say that many of the things that are talked about because of this book have been because of the things that I've put into practice even before I even read this book or even heard about it, but know that I can do much better in some of the areas that we talk about. But when you talk about forming habits, at its core, it means that you have to form not only good things that will help you with getting from point A to point B, but also knowing what your end destination is. I've talked about this in numerous concepts, whether it's about your own life, whether it's your own professional development, maybe it's about the business that you're running. It could be even in your own public speaking, how you get your audience from point A to point B, trying to share your purpose, trying to have that ability to have that habit forming behavior means that repetition, practicing over and over again, especially even having it on your schedule, is truly important. Which leads me into really the first small thing that James Clear talks about, which is having those small little changes or that atomic habits, those building blocks so that you can have those impressive achievements. There's really 4 behaviors that he talks about. It's cueing it, which is making it obvious or what triggers your habits, craving it, making it attractive or finding ways to make that habit enjoyable, making it responsive, making it easy and simplified so that it's effortless to perform, but then the reward. What makes it satisfying and ensuring that there's a reward that reinforces you doing that? That cue, craving, response, reward methodology is something that we oftentimes think at its simplistic form, wow, I didn't realize that I actually do set those things up. But when you look at it from a bigger level, sometimes we're missing some of the steps. Even making the smallest things, even laying out your clothes in the morning before you go to bed, significantly increases your chances of picking up that outfit, making that a habit that you do the night before, and those are the clothes that you then wear. It could be as easy as even making yourself a meal replacement shake or even prepping your meals. You're cueing that on a Sunday evening, getting ready for that Monday morning and the rest of your week because you want to make that food attractive. So you're going to pick recipes for something that will allow you to eat that food while meeting many of your dietary requirements. If you make that easy for yourself to do and you make that response easy so that it's effortless every single time because you set that time aside on your calendar or whatever scheduling mechanism that you might use, especially if you have multiple schedules like your family you have to worry about, this will help you make such a big difference. Many people overlook the fact that just the small things, which is something else James Clear talks about, is just trying to have those small little things that will help you, even if it's in a short duration of time, to build up the tolerance and the acceptability of wanting to do something new. Doing things differently, especially when you're changing your pattern completely on its head, is mostly why most New Year's resolution goals, since we're talking about that in the month of January more primarily, they often fail. Success doesn't happen with those goals, which is why roughly only 7 to 8% of individuals that set out for their New Year's resolution goals actually achieve any of them, even just one for that matter, because they make them too big and they don't break them down. One of the things that I work with at Your Speaking Voice LLC is to break those things down, even using the SMART goal methodology, which out of many of the other methodologies that are available, the SMART methodology is not only well known, especially when you have worked with people in the corporate atmosphere, but you've also see that many people, once you break it down into those small components, find it a lot easier and they don't shy away from the challenge of being able to do something, especially when it's broken down for them. But one of the things that even James talks about in his book is about stacking those habits. So when you talking about stacking, you linking new habits to existing ones that already are there. So if you already have the coffee that you're going to make in the morning, you can stack a new habit like reading a book after you make your coffee so that you have that in tandem. It could be as easy as once you make your breakfast, making sure that you have that shower ready to go, hopping in and being ready for the day. Good habits allow you then to create those momentums, but you also need to have the environment. And one of my clients that I've been working with, we've been trying to design this environmental space that will allow them to shape those habits, changing those bad habits into good habits, especially if the television and other electronics are distracting you from being able to do what you really want to do. It could be going as far as even getting a co-working space so that you are able to work more concretely on work assignments or even your own business for that matter, so that you're pushing away those distractions. Knowing that you're changing your environment so that it is all work, no play, can make a big difference in how you are able to change your perspective. But even with all the physical aspects in mind, sometimes the mental roadblocks, the things that might stop us, especially with accountability and who we answer to, can be a bigger roadblock than just changing the physical attributes. Some of those mental aspects, especially if you're trying to do it all by yourself, might be a bigger roadblock in trying to figure out what it is that you really want to achieve from the bigger macro level perspective, which is why worrying about just yourself might not be the best way to do it. Finding other people, on the other hand, that might help you with holding that accountability can make such a big difference, not only in your mindset, changing that, oh, I want to do this, to saying, I will do this because everybody else is counting on you for your piece of it, will make such a big difference. Identity-based habits, essentially, is what James Clear refers to this as, and it's really about focusing on what that kind of person is that you want to be. Rather than saying, I want to run a marathon, you might actually want to say, I am a runner. Changing your wording, Saying that you are that kind of person can help so much. And even then, trying to figure out how many times you do that when you go on a run, tracking that can make you feel like you're accomplished, making sure that you're staying consistent. So knowing that every time at this time, during this time of the week, I am going to do this and it's going to get done will also lock in your success of actually trying to do something and making that successful change occur. But even if you have all those things lined up, human experiences peak motivation when working on tasks that are just on the edge of their current abilities. Trying to do things that are not too hard, but also not too easy, but stay challenging enough so that you're engaged will essentially help with some of the mental roadblocks that you might have. This book, which I highly encourage you to pick up, focuses on the 1%. What are the small things that you can do so that it turns into 10%, 20%, 40% of your overall goals that you wanted to do will actually happen? Change doesn't happen overnight with a magic snap of the fingers, unfortunately, which is why most of the time when we go to gyms and we see them packed with so many different types of people trying to get a jump start on their weight loss resolutions, or even trying to do things that they normally would have never done before, but then you find all of a sudden that they're doing it. Where did that come from? Not having that level of accountability, not being able to continuously grow and building up to those types of activities are really going to push our power of accountability into the corner and will have a long-term impact on us instead. And that long-term impact, when it's negative in nature, certainly doesn't help us in any sort whatsoever. Doing things differently doesn't have to be a challenging exercise either. If you start small and you're just consistent with those small changes, incremental progress will slowly start to happen. Even if you lost 2 pounds in a month, those 2 pounds are a lot more than gaining 2 pounds. I would not want anybody to gain weight, but actually to lose weight. So those small acts of accomplishments are really what we want to work on. But we also want to establish healthy, successful systems that would allow us to fixate on not just improving what we're doing, but working on the bigger goal as a whole as a result. Having those systems, having that level of accountability, even if you have somebody that you check in with, particularly a coach for that matter, can help iterate and improve those habits, giving yourself feedback continuously over and over again. In the realm of artificial intelligence or AI, you can do those sort of prompts easily using ChatGPT or any other system in which you combine not only building your own type of program that you want to be held accountable to, but there are even apps that are designed to reward you for sticking with routine habits and holding yourself to a higher level of accountability. Only if you're willing to change your perspective and accept that perspective for what it is. In Toastmasters, which many of you know has been the backbone for why I even started my business, Your Speaking Voice LLC, is really designed to help us hold accountability. If you have somebody that's really going to hold you to the fire of wanting to change your perspective and wanting to help you with your public speaking and leadership development, you would be accepting of every single piece of feedback or advice that they're willing to give. Some people are not willing to do that for a number of reasons. Some of them being that maybe it's a time commitment. Maybe it's something from a resource perspective that they don't have currently, but they will have down the road. All these different things are doing things differently, which means that even though we want to do it, we have to have the urge, we have to have the motivation to do it. And unfortunately, in some cases, a person that has their back against a wall are usually the ones that are going to make the change the most, when they have no other choice for that matter. Take it from someone that has been through a number of different experiences when it comes to having their back against a wall, whether that's been imposed by somebody else or has been self-inflicted because I didn't realize what I was doing. I know that when we have our backs against a wall, we are not easily able to manipulate or change our circumstances. It is truly up to us to be more proactive. But by doing things differently, we are also living in a place of fear. we are insecure about the ways in which that change could ultimately benefit us. But if you focus on the systems, as James Clear puts it, and you're able to be consistent and start small and improve with feedback and accountability, these changes overall are going to help you become a better person than you were today. I know that change might not be easy, and it means that we also have to explore new methodologies, new ways in which we have to reestablish our thinking. But with that new thinking comes new possibilities, new opportunities. Whether you want to do that for your own job, or you want to do it for your business, or you want to do it for some other reason that's not defined today, people are going to notice when you are actually changing yourself and helping each other to change yourself. If you have the right system and you have the right community for that matter that will support you no matter what, that's going to help you get to where you need to be. And doing things differently won't be as scary as it might look like. So don't fall off the bandwagon today. And if you did, who cares? Get back on that bandwagon and start doing all the things that you need to do, because when you see other people that you're seated across on that bandwagon doing the same things, and they're willing to be helped, and they're willing to see the progress that you're making, and they're accepting that in return, that feedback loop, that growth, that habit forming activity, especially in what you're trying to accomplish, can be very atomic in nature. And I think that is something that not only James Clear would be excited about, but I would be excited about as your coach. Knowing that you're making progress, knowing that when you are falling off during those crucial times, you are getting back on, that is something that you should be proud of. And doing things differently can help you not only becoming the best version of who you are, but also achieving things and activities that you might have never, ever thought you could ever do. And doing those things makes you pretty special, especially when you are reading Atomic Habits, doing the things that you are wanting to do, like lay your clothes out on the bed. And oh yeah, maybe when you have that extra time, thinking of people like me, wanting to help me out, helping others out in this big community that we call the world, and seeing the best versions of who we want to become. Thanks for listening to episode number 187 of Speaking from the Heart, and I look forward to hearing from your heart very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.